Hi everybody, I hope you're well. In today's video, I'm going to take you behind the scenes on how I make my photography vlog videos, just like this one, including the cameras that I use and all the equipment. So, let's crack on. So just before we start this video proper, I need to just apologise for the state of me. To make this video, I thought it'd be really cool to come out somewhere completely new to me that I've never been before, and I always enjoy doing that for these videos. It's quite nice just to get out and discover new places, and I did that today, and the views here are amazing. It's a really, really beautiful place, but to get to this point I am now, I walked up this hill that I thought would be relatively easy. It wasn't. It was an absolute nightmare. As you'll see here, every step that I took, my feet, I couldn't even see my feet. The grass was up to my waist. It was a nightmare. Some parts of the ground were firm, some parts it was really boggy and marshy, and my feet now are squelching. And my idea was to get up to that hill, but I thought I'm just going to give up on that, or else I'll never make it back down alive. So excuse the state of me, but I always like Peter McKinnon's phrase of done is better than perfect, because the temptation was to give up on this video, come back maybe tomorrow and try again when I'm not messy. But I thought, no, let's carry on, because this is more real, you know, and part of the attraction for me of doing these videos is coming out to new places, and when you do that, you never know what you're going to encounter. So excuse the state of me, that's the reason why, but let's crack on with the video. It will be worth it. So, before I show you the cameras and equipment that I use to make my videos, rather than how I make my videos, let's talk quickly about why I make my videos. So, first thing to say is that if you would have told me a couple of years ago that I would be stood like this in a public place, recording myself, talking into a camera, I would have honestly just laughed at you. I'm a massive introvert. None of this comes naturally to me at all. In fact, if you look back on my channel, you'll see that I didn't have the confidence to put myself on camera for a long time. In my first videos, I'm just talking over photographs, I'm just narrating it. There was no way that I would have dared to put my face on camera. But over time, I started to really enjoy the process of making videos, and I obviously love talking about wedding photography. So coming out to make videos like this, where I can do both of those things at the same time, has been something that I've started to really enjoy. And the point of me saying that is that if you have even the smallest interest in doing something similar yourself, then go for it. Even if it seems really scary to you now, which I'm sure it probably does if you've never done anything like this before, just give it a go, because I think you're going to be really surprised at how much you may end up enjoying it. I knew nothing about video a couple of years ago, but now, since making these videos, it's given me a reason to learn about video and how to put together just simple videos like this, which I feel is a really good skill to have. In this day and age, video is becoming more and more a part of what we do as wedding photographers, whether it's recording ourselves on Instagram stories, doing live streams, or even capturing bits of videos at weddings. Knowing about video is becoming more and more beneficial for our businesses. So even if you don't want to talk on camera, I would still recommend that you have a play on making your own little videos of days out. I'm still learning myself about video, but video is going to become a bigger and bigger part of the industry. So giving yourself the knowledge and the experience of how video works and how to put together short little films will definitely benefit you and your business. So I'm now going to talk you through the various cameras and equipment that I use to make videos like this. So the first thing to say is that everything that I use when I'm making my vlogs like today fits in my Lowepro ProTactic 450AW bag, and it's a really, really nice backpack this. I've had it for a couple of years and it's just brilliant. It's very, very comfortable. It's also very compact. You can take this on a plane as your hand luggage, so that's really handy for destination weddings. It's just a really nice bag. So it's very compact and lightweight. So on the outside of the bag, I have a tripod. I'll put the links to everything that I use and the names on the screen of all the equipment that I use, because I don't know the names of all of it. I forget, to be perfectly honest. But this tripod is really nice. It's very small, but it extends to quite a good size. But yeah, so that's a decent tripod there, carbon fibre, but it's very solid. I say it's just very, very handy because it's so small. And For videos like this, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for convenience rather than everything being like, you know, perfect. It's got to be convenient and light, because I'm like today, I've walked up quite a long way today, so the last thing I want is to be taking a bag full of really heavy equipment. So that's the tripod. I also have 2 of these light stands. Again, I don't use these for weddings because they're just very flimsy, but as I say, they're perfect for days like today when I'm walking up hills and things. I don't want the weight. So one of the light stands is obviously on the camera that I'm using now, that you're watching on, but it's the same as this. So again, it's not a huge light stand, it doesn't go up very high, but it's absolutely perfect for what I need it to do. It's not the most sturdy light stand in the world, but I don't need it to be. Let's plonk that there. So we're now going to open up the bag. So what I like about this is that it opens from the back. So if you ever like in quite muddy conditions, this is obviously the bit that you're going to have attached to your coat or to your back. So you don't really want that to get all dirty. So this opens this way, which I think is quite nice. Now there are things in here which I don't use all the time. For example, I wouldn't normally have 2 A9s on me. It's just for the purpose of this video, so just bear that in mind. But everything else fits in here really easy, and as you can see, there's loads of space. So basically, I wouldn't normally have the second A9 and that lens, so this is what I would normally take when I'm making these vlog videos. And what I'm going to do now is go through each thing individually so you can see what they all do. So what I'm going to do now is talk you through each piece of equipment that I use for vlogs like this, and on the screen you're going to see the name of the camera that I'm using to record that particular clip. So the first camera that I use for many of my vlogs, which is what you're looking at now, is my Sony A9. The Sony A9 is absolutely brilliant for video, I find. If it wasn't for the A9 and moving to Sony, I don't think I would have got into video at all, because I've never really had any interest in it, but using these has opened up video to me. So I'm not going to dwell on any of the cameras or the equipment that I use today. If you do want me to go into anything in more detail, please do let me know, and I'll do a more in-depth video on each particular piece of equipment. But for now, I'm just going to talk you through what each thing is. So I use the A9 when I've got a camera on a tripod and it's not particularly a dynamic shot, but it's just a bit more stable because the quality is amazing. I always record everything in 4K, so you can see now that I'm recording onto the A9. So within my videos, if you ever see a static camera like this that I'm talking into, chances are it's the A9, and I use a Sony 16 to 35mm lens to record the videos on. Now, if you ever see me talking into a camera that's moving around like this, chances are it's going to be using this camera, the DJI Osmo Pocket. I absolutely love this camera. It is so small and so compact, but the quality of it is absolutely amazing. You can see I've got small hands, but you can just see how small it is. So it literally will, as the name suggests, fit into your pocket. But the best thing about this is just how easy it is to use. Now, the one slight downside when it comes to using this for vlogging, I find, is that it's not got a huge wide angle lens. So when you do that, you can see now that the field of view isn't massive, and my arm is literally outstretched the full way. So what I use instead to help me with this is the extension rod. Now, the extension rod is very, very cool. What this allows you to do is basically put the Osmo Pocket onto here, obviously extend it out, and then you have all these controls on here. So let's just have a go. So instantly the field of view is, obviously because the camera's further away, much wider than it was before. And I love using this just to give you a feel of the landscape that I'm in. And the technology in this camera is amazing. It's got face tracking, so even as I move the camera around, it's always, as you can see here, like locked onto my face. The focusing is just amazing, and it's just really nice, I feel, when it comes to making vlog videos like this, to have that real sense of landscape and where I am. It just makes the whole thing more interesting, I find. So that's how I use the camera in its most basic form. Now, one of the things that I love most about this camera is the gimbal. It makes the video really steady and smooth. So if I can just show you now, let's turn this round so you can see the camera there, and regardless of where I move the actual camera, the gimbal will stay steady, and it means that even when you're walking along, Let's turn it back on me now. Even as I'm walking, this ground is awful, but even as I'm walking, the footage is really smooth, so I can even move quite fast like this and the footage stays very, very smooth, and it's just a really, really nice feature. I don't really like looking at people's vlogs where they've not got any sort of stabilization on the video. It just looks really sort of bumpy, and it's just not nice to watch. So this camera is absolutely brilliant thanks to the gimbal. Oh, I should also say as well that one of the things that I love about the extension rod and having all these buttons here is that you can control everything without needing to touch the camera itself. So what I like is that I can just flip the camera around as I'm walking and talking. So I'm just showing you the reservoir there. Let's just turn the camera around again, and I'm back. And again, it's really, really easy to use. But the other thing that I love about it is its time-lapse features. So I'm going to show you now some of my favourite time-lapses that I've made using the Osmo Pocket. And I just think they're really cool. I love how it pans round during the time-lapse. It just gives a really dynamic look to them. Okay, what I'm just going to do now is show you an example of a time-lapse using the Osmo Pocket. So I've got this housing. Again, links will be in the description for all these things. Put that, the ground here, honestly, it's a nightmare. Let's just put this onto, again, one of the little light stands that I showed you earlier on. And now, let's just do a time lapse over here. So I've set that to a half-an-hour time lapse. It's going to take a photo every 2 seconds, and we'll see the results of that now. So I can't stress enough that when I'm making my vlogs, the Osmo Pocket is absolutely integral. I love using this. It is really, in my opinion, the absolute best camera for vlogging. Because again, for my use, I don't want a big camera. Even if it's going to give me slightly better quality, I don't think it will because this is 4K, but even if it did, I wouldn't want that bulkiness. I just want something really small that I can put in my pocket, because if it didn't give me that ability to just put it in my pocket, I wouldn't end up using it. So the Osmo Pocket, brilliant. Now, another camera that I absolutely love using is this, the DJI Osmo Action. The Osmo Action is absolutely brilliant because, again, it's really small, and maybe DJI was a bit naughty in doing this. It's the exact same dimensions of many of the older GoPros. So what that means is if you have any GoPro accessories and the cage and the housing, then the Osmo Action will fit into it. Now, I did used to have a GoPro, but unfortunately, as you may have seen in this video, that camera now, I think, is halfway to France. Anyway, so I decided to replace that GoPro with another DJI Osmo Action. Now, I already had one of these and I was using this alongside the GoPro, but from a personal point of view, I much preferred the Action camera, just because I found it much more easier to use. It's just a bit more user-friendly, I found, and the screen and the buttons, everything's just a bit more responsive. This video over here that you're watching, this is also being recorded on the Osmo Action. So I'm now going to record me recording me. Now, just as with the Osmo Pocket camera, which I've just shown you, this also has very good inbuilt stabilization. It's not quite as good as the Pocket, but then again, I don't really need it to be. But what this is really, really good for is just sticking on a light stand like I am doing here and just recording behind the scenes footage. I also love using this at weddings as well. I have this hot shoe mount, which means that I can put it on here, and oftentimes when you're seeing behind the scenes footage, which I'll show you now, it is recorded using this setup. Again, it just means that at weddings I can quickly record bits of video, and all I have to remember to do is just press the record button here and it does the rest. Now, if I want to record video whilst I'm doing an off-camera flash photograph, obviously that means that I need to use the hot shoe to put the trigger onto. So to counteract that problem, I have this, which is a flash bracket. Now, this is really cool. Again, I'll put links to where I bought these from. They're all bought off Amazon, but I'll put the links in the description. We can just screw this onto the base here. Now I can take the camera off the hot shoe and just slide it onto here, and that frees up the camera hot shoe so I can put a trigger on there, and then I can record everything that the camera is seeing, as I will now show you. So it gives you a really cool camera eye view. Now the Osmo Action also has other cool features. It's also able to do time lapses, and it's also voice activated as well, which I don't tend to use, to be honest. I feel a bit stupid doing that, but yeah, it has the ability to do that. The other feature just to talk about as well is it's got this screen at the front. Now if you want to use this in selfie mode, you just double tap the back, and now you see that you can see yourself there. So if you wanted to use this as a vlogging camera, then you can do that quite easily. I say I don't personally like it as much as the Osmo Pocket, especially when I'm using it with the extension rod and have the ability to switch the camera, everything from the rod. But this is a really nice little camera if you want to do that. If you only want to have one camera, then this is a good all-rounder. Say this is better than the Osmo Pocket if you want to take behind the scenes at weddings, for me anyway, because it's just so robust and it just slides on there, really small. The Osmo Pocket feels a little bit more fragile because of the gimbal head, whereas this feels like, you know, you could probably drive over it, it'd survive. So yeah, it's a really nice little camera. So when I'm using this for vlogs, it's often when I'm getting sort of behind the scenes footage, so time lapses, using a second camera as I am here, especially if I'm doing shoots where I want to have, say, 3 different angles. I want to keep on alternating between the different angles, then I have a couple of these and it works really, really well. So yeah, the other camera, which I have 2 of, is the Osmo Action. Now another thing that I always have with me, which is absolutely essential, is this, which is the Sony TX650. Now this is basically, it's a microphone. This is absolutely brilliant. I basically record all the audio on this little thing. So I just clip this onto me and then I just forget about it. Now the audio from each of the cameras that I've showed you today, the A9, the DJI Osmo Action, the Osmo Pocket, is actually really good. But if you're using a combination of those different cameras, the audio sounds slightly different from each one. And that can be really annoying if you're watching a video and each time, so I'm getting bitten, and the audio sort of keeps on changing throughout the video. So I use this to catch all my audio, and that gives it a real consistent feel. All the audio is recorded directly onto this, so there's no wires or cables. I just literally clip it onto myself and then forget about it. And it also means that you don't have to worry however far back I get, it doesn't really matter, the sound will always be consistent. So for outside vlogging, this is brilliant. Now I don't think it's the best sound quality you can get, but it's definitely good enough. And the main thing is it gives me a very consistent level of audio, and that's really important, I find. So I basically record everything onto this, download it when I get back, and then just sync it up when I get in on Final Cut Pro, which is the software that I use, which I'll talk about a little bit at the end of the video. So yeah, this is just a really great little microphone to give you a consistent sound when you're outside vlogging like this. So it's probably not the best quality, but it's certainly good enough, and it will give you a consistent audio regardless of what cameras you're using. So last but not least, when it comes to the cameras, it's this one. This is the latest camera that I've added to my bag, and it's probably the most exciting one to use. You'll see it's quite small. It is the Mavic Mini drone. This drone is brilliant because it is so small. Now, I've never owned a drone before this one, but the drones that I've seen have both been quite big. Now, the quality, don't get me wrong, from those drones is incredible, but again, I'm all for practicality. Am I going to take a drone out with me if it's big and it's bulky, I need a bigger bag and things like that? I'm probably not. Whereas this one is ridiculously small. But even though it's small, I don't know how it works, but the quality is amazing from it. It's not 4K, it's 2.7K, but even so, the quality is just unbelievable. And it stays so still in the air, it just blows my mind how it works. Now, I've only had this drone for around a month now, but here's some of my favourite footage. I'm by no means an expert when it comes to using a drone, but this makes it really easy. The app that you use to control the drone on your phone is really straightforward to use. I picked it up almost straight away. It's very simple. And I find that drone footage is just a really nice way of making videos just come to life. It's always really cool, I think, to see a scene or a landscape from different viewpoints, and there's no better way of doing that than using a drone. So I'm going to have to call this flight off because I'm getting bitten to shreds by all the midges. Okay, so what I'm now going to do is do the rest of the video, finish off the video when I get home, because it's getting a little bit dark. This is not the place I want to be if it gets much darker than this, because the walk down is not going to be fun. So hopefully, if you're watching this video, it means that I didn't die on the way down. So I'll see you when I get home. That walk wasn't even safe. I should not have stayed out there this long. Honestly, walking down there, didn't know what you were standing on. So I basically put 1 foot forward and hoped that it was going to hit something firm, i.e. the ground. But a couple of times it didn't. It just went into like a swampy bit. So my feet are squelching. They've both been complete like under like a swamp up to like my shins. I don't know if it's good to be adventurous. Oh, it's horrible walking like this. I'm on my phone, by the way. Everything's in my bag now, all packed up. And to be honest, it's getting so dark and I'm so just want to get back that I can't actually be bothered getting anything out that's a bit more professional. But yeah, what I hope this shows is that it's like trying to find a little bit of positivity in an absolute horrible situation as I'm walking along with my feet squelching. But what I hope is that making vlogs like this, the upside is that it does get you out using your cameras. And I'm sure at some point in the future, I'll look back on this and think, oh, that's quite funny. When I was stranded up on that hill of death. Why I persisted on trying to climb up it. Because when I first got there, I just thought, oh, it'll get better, it'll get better, it'll get better. It didn't get better, but by the time I realised it's not going to get better, I was halfway up, and by that point my stubbornness was like, come on, you're almost there now, you might as well carry on going. And I should have realised that going down is actually worse than going up. Anyway, I'm going to stop whinging now, and I will see you when I get back. So, now that you've seen the cameras and the equipment which I use to make my outside videos, the last thing that I wanted to quickly mention was the software that I use to edit my videos. Because just like with digital photography, filming your video is one thing, but editing it all together afterwards is another new skill in itself. And it's something which I've really tried to improve at over the past couple of years. It hasn't been easy. It's like learning Lightroom or Photoshop from scratch again. But as with anything, the more you try something and the more practice you get, the better you get. Now, when I first started my YouTube channel almost 2 years ago now, I didn't know anything about frame rates, about audio, or about video editing. But making videos for the channel has made me develop my understanding of video, and that has actually been really useful to me because as a knock-on effect, over the past 12 months or so, I've started to incorporate video and audio into my wedding photography slideshows for my couples, and that has given those slideshows so much more emotional impact. Now, I've actually made a whole video on this in my Patreon. The link is in the description if you'd like to join and watch that video. Now, I edit my videos in Final Cut Pro, which is amazing, and it's a very powerful piece of software. The downside is, though, it isn't cheap. However, although I've never used it myself, I know that many people edit their videos in software called DaVinci Resolve, which to my knowledge is free. So maybe try that first if you're just starting out in video. But, as I said at the beginning of this video, I really do think that even for wedding photographers, learning about video is really, really useful, and it will only become more useful as time goes on because video is becoming such an important part of the business. So, as always, I hope you've enjoyed this video and thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.